Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a huge piece of the Swahili puzzle, prepositions. They're called Vihusishi in Swahili, and trust me, getting a handle on these is your ticket to building sentences that actually make sense. Ready? Let's jump right in.
So what in the world are Vihusishi? Well, think of them as the glue of the language. They're these little words that connect everything. Nouns, ideas, they show us how one thing relates to another. If you're trying to say where something is, or when it happened, or even how it was done, you're going to need a Vihusishi for that.
Okay, now here's the good news.
This isn't as complicated as it might sound. We can actually sort pretty much all Swahili prepositions into just 5 main categories. That's it, only 5. And once you start thinking about them in these simple groups, the whole system just clicks. It becomes so much easier to get.
All right, so here's the plan for today. First, we'll nail down what a vihushi actually is. Then we're going to look at prepositions for place, then state, and level. After that, we'll hit time, and we'll finish up with this really cool thing in Swahili called the A connector. And then, of course, we'll wrap it all up with a quick review.
Okay, first up, prepositions of place. In Swahili, that's Vihusishi vya mahali. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. These are the words that are all about location. They answer that one simple question, where?
So here are some of the big ones you'll see all the time. You've got ndani ya, that means inside of. Juu ya is on top of. Karibu na is near. Then there's chini ya for under, mbali na for far from, and kando ya, which means next to. See that little pattern there? A lot of them are these 2-word phrases. These are basically your best friends for describing where anything is.
And here's a perfect example of how it works. Mpaka yumo ndani ya boxi. That preposition, ndani ya, tells you exactly the relationship between the cat and the box. See? The cat's not near it, it's not on it, it is inside it. Super simple, right? And very precise.
All right, let's move on. For this next part, we're actually going to look at 2 types together because they're kind of related. We've got prepositions of state, or hali, and prepositions of level, which is kiwango. Basically, these help us talk about how things are and how they stack up against each other.
So first up, let's talk about state. These prepositions are all about the how or the why. They fill in the backstory, They describe the reason or the condition for something happening, which adds this whole other layer of meaning. Super useful. Check this out. Mama alitoa hotuba kwa niaba ya baba. So why'd the mom give the speech? Well, she did it on behalf of the father. See how that phrase kwa niaba ya explains the whole situation? It tells us the condition under which she acted.
And here's another one. Alilazwa hospitalini kwa sababu ya maumivu. The key phrase here is kwa sababu ya. It gives us the exact reason he was hospitalized. It was because of the pain. So yeah, when you need to explain the why behind something, these are the words you're looking for. Okay, so now let's talk about the other half of this pair, prepositions of level, or kiwango. These are your go-to words for making comparisons. Anytime you want to say something is more than, less than, or the same as something else, this is the category you'll be using.
Some of the main ones you'll see are zaidi ya, for more than, kuliko, which is like saying then, and sawasawa na, which means equal to. There's also kupita, for surpassing. Honestly, you can't really compare things without these, so they're absolutely essential.
Let's look at an example. Walinunua vitabu zaidi ya jirani yao. That phrase, zaidi ya, is doing all the work here. It's setting up a comparison. How many books did they buy? Well, they bought more than their neighbor. It creates a really clear picture of the quantity involved. Okay, moving right along to our third group, prepositions of time, or Vihusishi vya wakati. And I bet you can guess what these do. They're all about time. They help us nail down when something is happening. They answer that big question, when.
So you've got words like tangu, which means since, hadi and mpaka, which both mean until, baada ya for after, and kabla ya for before. These are so important. I mean, you need them to tell stories, to make plans, really to talk about anything that happens in a sequence. You will use these all the time. So for example, nitakula chakula baada ya kuoga. The preposition here, baada ya, sets the timeline. What happens first? The shower. What happens second? The food. It creates a perfect, logical order of events. Easy peasy.
All right, now for our last category, and this one is really, really cool and pretty unique to Swahili. It's called the A connector, or Vihusishi vya A unganefu. Now, it kind of works like the word of in English, for showing who owns something, but it has this awesome Swahili twist.
And this is where it gets really interesting. In English, our word of is, well, it's static. It never changes. The cup of the father, the car of the father. See? Of is always of. But in Swahili, it's dynamic. It actually changes to match the noun it's describing. So for kikombe, which is cup, we use cha. But if we were talking about a person, too, we would use wa. The connector itself changes, which is just so cool.
So the big takeaway is that these little connectors are usually just one syllable, like cha, wa, or ya. But don't let their size fool you. They are incredibly powerful. They're the absolute backbone of showing ownership in Swahili. And the real magic is how they're like little chameleons, changing to match the noun they're with.
And that's it. Those are the 5 big categories of Swahili prepositions. Let's do a super quick, rapid-fire recap just to lock it all in. Think of this as your new preposition roadmap.
Okay, so here's the roadmap. First, we've got place, that's mahali, which tells us where. Second, we have state, or hali, to describe a condition, the why or how. Third is level, kiwango, which lets us make comparisons. Fourth, we have time, wakati, to tell us when things happen. And finally, number 5, that special A connector that shows possession or whose it is. See? Where, why, how, when, and whose. That's the core of it.
Honestly, by just getting a handle on these 5 simple groups, you've just unlocked a massive piece of Swahili grammar. So I have a challenge for you. Which one of these Vihusishi are you going to try and use in a sentence today? Go for it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and until next time, keep up the great work.